Krishna to all dear devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All goes to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Prabhuji, today I'll be reading Prabhuji. I'll start with a brief premise.
Okay, thank you.
Om, thank you. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet. Nashtaprayeshu abhatreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya. So today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 10, chapter 12, from the text 25 to 44. Text 25. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, who is situated as a Antaryami, the super soul, in the core of the everyone's heart, heard the boys talking among themselves about the artificial python. Unknown to them, it was actually Agasura, a demon who had appeared as a python. Krishna, knowing this, wanted to forbid his associate to enter the demon's mouth. Text 26. In a meantime, while Krishna was considering how to stop them, all the cowherd boys entered the mouth of the demon. The demon, however, did not swallow them, for he was thinking of his own relatives who had been killed by Krishna and was just waiting for Krishna to enter his mouth. Text 27. Krishna saw that all the cowherd boys who did not know anyone but him as their Lord, had now gone out of his hands and were helpless, having entered like straws into the fire of the abdomen of Agasura, who was death personified. It was intolerable for Krishna to be separated from his friends, the cowherd boys, therefore, as if seeing that this had been arranged by his internal potency. Krishna was momentarily struck with a wonder and unsure of what to do. Text 28. Now what was to be done? How could both the killing of this demon and the saving of the devotees be performed simultaneously? Krishna, being unlimitedly potent, decided to wait for an intelligent mean by which he could um, simultaneously save the boys and kill the demon. Then he entered the mouth of Agasura. Text 29. When Krishna entered the mouth of Agasura, the demon, the demigods hidden behind the clouds exclaimed, "Alas, alas!" But the friends of the Agasura, like Kamsa and the other demons, were jubilant. Text 30th. When the invincible supreme personality of Godhead Krishna heard the demigods crying alas, alas from behind the clouds, he immediately enlarged himself within the demon's truth, just to save himself and the cowhead boys. His own associates from the demon who wished to smash them. Text 31. Then, because Krishna had increased the size of his body, the demon extended his own body to a very large size. Nonetheless, his breathing stopped. He suffocated, and his eyes rolled here and there and popped out. The demon's life air, however, could not pass through any outlet, and therefore it finally burst out through a hole in the top of the demon's head. Text 32. When all the demon's life air has passed away through the hole in the top of his head. Krishna glanced over the dead calves and the cowhead boys and brought them back to the life. Then Mukunda, who can give one liberation, came out from the demon's mouth with his friends and the calves. Text 33. From the body of the gigantic python, a glaring effulgence came out, illuminating all directions and stayed individually in the sky until Krishna came out from the uh, Kru- Krupa's mouth. Then, as all the demigods looked on, this effulgence entered into the Krishna's body. Text 34. Thereafter, everyone being pleased, the demigods began to shower flowers from Nandakana. The celestial dancing girls began to dance, and the Gandharvas, who are famous for singing, offered songs of prayers. The drummers began to beat their kettle drums, and the Brahmanas offered Vedic hymns. In this way, both in the heaven and on the earth, everyone began to perform his own duties, glorifying the Lord. Text 35. When Lord Brahma heard the wonderful ceremony going on, mm, near his planet, accompanied by the music and the songs and sounds of Jaya Jaya. He immediately came down to see the function. Upon seeing so much glorification of Lord Krishna, he was completely astonished. Text 36. O King Parikshit, when the python shaped body of Agasura dried up into the mercilessly pig skin, it, it became a wonderful place for the inhabitants of the Vrindavan to visit, and it remained so for a long, long time. Text 37. This incident of Krishna saving himself and his associates from death and of giving deliverance to Agasura, who had assumed the form of a python, took place when Krishna was 5 years old. It was disclosed in Raja Bhumi after 1 year, as if it had taken place on that every day, very day, on that very day. Text 38. Krishna is the cause of all causes. The causes and the effects of the material world, both higher and the lower, are all created by the Supreme Lord, the original controller. When Krishna appeared as a son of Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda, he did so by his causeless mercy. Consequently, for him to exhibit his unlimited opulence was not at all wonderful. Indeed, he showered such great mercy that even Agasura, the most sinful miscreant, was elevated to began one of his associate and achieving Swarupya Mukti, which is actually impossible for materially contaminated persons to attain. Text 39. If even only once, or even by the force, one brings the form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead into one's mind, one can attain the supreme salvation by the mercy of Krishna, as did Agasura. What then is to be said of those whose hearts the Supreme Personality of Godhead enters when he appeared as an incarnation, or those who always thinks of the lotus feet of Lord, who is the source of the transcendental bliss for all the living entities, and by whom all the illusion is completely removed. Text 40th. Sutta Goswami said, O learned saints, the childhood pastimes of Sri Krishna are very wonderful. Maharaj Parikshit, after hearing about those pastimes of Krishna who had saved him in the womb of his mother, became steady in his mind and again inquired from Sukadev Goswami to hear about those pious activities. Text 41. Maharaj Parikshit inquired, O great sage, how could things done in the past have been described as being done at the present? Lord Sri Krishna performed these pastimes of killing Agasura during his mm, Kaumara age. How then, during his uh, Pauganda age, could the boys have described this incident as having happened recently? Text 42. O great yogi, my spiritual master, kindly describe why this happened. I am very much curious to know about it. I think that it was nothing but another illusion due to Krishna. Text 43. O my Lord, my spiritual master, although we are the lowest of Kshatriyas, we are glorified and benefited because we have the opportunity of always hearing from you the nectar of the pious activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Text 44. Sutta Goswami said, O Saunaka, the greatest of the saints and the devotees, when Maharaj Parikshit inquired from Sukadev Goswami in this way, Sukadev Goswami, immediately remembering the subject matters about Krishna within the core of his art, with his of his heart. Mm, externally lost contact with the actions of his senses. Thereafter, with a great difficulty, he revived his eternal sensory prescription and began to speak to Maharaj Parikshit about Krishna Katha. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport of Srila Prabhupada, Canto 10, Chapter 12, The Killing of the Demon Agasura. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, Krishna Venudas Prabhuji, please accept our humble obeisances. All goes to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Prabhuji, please take over the call, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Radharani Mataji. Thank you very much for reading today's Bhagavatam section slokas translations. And thank you all for joining. And thank you, Sundarananda Prabhu, for giving this opportunity to share few points from Srila Prabhupada's purports of my own purification. So today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 12, the killing of the demon Agasura, or the deliverance of Agasura, from the slokas 25 to 44, end of the chapter. So we'll start with prayers. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः. नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामने. नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादि पश्चात्तदेशतारिणि. जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधार श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद. हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. So just to give a background, we are in the wonderful pastimes of Supreme Lord Krishna's childhood. The last chapter also we saw how Krishna killed many demons, Vatsasura or Bakasura like that. And also we heard how seeing so many calamities, the all the cowherd elderly personalities, they gathered together and they did concluded or decided that to move from Gokula to Vrindavan. So they moved to Vrindavan, and in this chapter we are hearing the pastime of Supreme Lord Krishna killing Agasura as his childhood pastimes when he was in 5 years old. So in the last section we heard, which was nicely summarized by our grace Radharani Mataji, how so one day Krishna wanted to enjoy a picnic lunch in the forest along with all his friends, cowherd boys. So there are many of them, and also calves. And while they were enjoying that lunch picnic, and this demon Aghasura, so who is the younger brother of Putana and Bakasura, so he appeared there, and then he wanted to kill Krishna and his friends. So he assumed a gigantic python serpent form, and it was mentioned it's very huge, and then his mouth also extended from the surface of the earth to the heavenly planets. So it was very huge, and it looks like a road, something like that. So then the cowherd boys who were Krishna's friends, they thought that this is a very beautiful place in Vrindavana. So one of them, so which they want to explore it. So they entered into the mouth of this Aghasura, the gigantic python. And of course, before entering, also they had discussion whether this is a play area or some kind of mystic thing or some dangerous thing like that. And then they began to laugh and confident that they thought even if it is a dangerous, so they had great confidence and they are fully surrendered to Krishna, so Krishna will protect them. So in that way they entered into the mouth of this python Aghasura. And today we'll cover the second section of this chapter from slokas 25 to 44. So in the 25th sloka we see that Krishna, so of course who is situated in everyone's heart as the super soul, Even in Bhagavad Gita also we hear that Ishvara Sarva Bhutanam Hruddesha Arjuna Tishtati. So Krishna is sitting as a Paramatma in everyone's heart. So he knows everything, what we are thinking and what we are doing, like all those things. So that's why it's mentioned that we should not be thinking that no one is watching, so I can do all kind of sinful activities like that. Actually, we are under the vigilance of a 24 by 7 camera. So that's why we should try as best as to perform all pious activities, especially Krishna conscious activities. So Krishna heard the boys talking themselves, and then they don't know that this is a demon Agasura. So Krishna wanted to forbid to enter into it, but they already entered. So and then in the next sloka we see that Krishna is considering how to stop them. So and the cowherd boys entered, and then we see that this demon, he did not swallow them at that moment. So even though all the cowherd boys, they entered into the mouth of the python, the Sagasura, he did not enter because he was thinking of his own relatives who had been killed by Krishna. So that's why in this sloka, Krishna is mentioned as Bakari, so the enemy of Bakasura, because the Sagasura is the younger brother of Bakasura and also Putana. So he was waiting for Krishna to enter so that so he can kill all of them, including Krishna and his friends also. So, and in the next sloka, we see that Krishna, uh, seeing all the cowherd boys who did not know anyone but him. So here they are mentioned as Krishna is mentioned as Sakala Abhaya Prado, Abhaya Prado. So he is the source of fearlessness for everyone. Of course, especially for pure devotees, because pure devotees, they have taken complete shelter at the lotus feet of Krishna. They are fearless. Narayana Parasarve Nakutaschana Bipyati. So when one takes complete shelter at the lotus feet of Krishna, Lord Shiva says that they don't have any fear. So Lord Shiva tells this to Mother Parvati. So that's why here these cowherd boys, they did not know anyone but him. Ananyanathan. So they only know about Krishna, so not anyone. That's why Krishna says that in Bhagavad Gita, Ananyas chintayanto mam ye jana paryupasate tesham nittavayuktanam yogakshema mahamyam. So whoever takes complete shelter at the lotus feet of Krishna, so he will protect yogakshema. So he will take care of all of them. So Krishna, seeing that they entered, and now they have gone out of his hands and they were helpless, and then Krishna here, he felt intolerable for Krishna to be separated from his friends. So this is another thing we see, that Krishna is always like to stay with devotees. So that's why we hear that Krishna, he doesn't stay in Vaikunta. Naham tistami Vaikunte yoginam hridayeshuva tatra tistami narada yatra gayanti madbhaktaha. So he always like to stay with his devotees. So wherever they are there. Prabhupada also mentions that Krishna doesn't leave the company of his devotees. So here also, when he saw that all his friends entered into the mouth of Agasura, and Agasura had this plan or a desire to kill Krishna, Krishna's all his friends, so he felt intolerable because he don't want to be separated from his friends, who are all great devotees, completely taken shelter at the lotus feet of Krishna. So therefore, seeing that which has been arranged by the Yogamaya, Krishna momentarily struck with wonder and unsure what to do. In the next sloka, we see that so Krishna is thinking what has to be done. So he has to kill the demon, at the same time save his devotees, all the cowherd boys. And Krishna is mentioned here unlimitedly potent, and he's decided to wait for an intelligent means by which he could do both of them at the same time. So for that he entered into the mouth of Agasura. So, and Prabhupada mentions in the purport that Krishna here is known as Ananta Virya Sarvajna. So, he knows everything. So, so he knows everything perfectly well. So, it's not something that it is difficult for him to find out how to save his friends, these cowherd boys, and how to kill this demon Aghasura. So, not like that. So, he already decided to enter into the mouth of Aghasura. And here also, um, this demon is mentioned in the last section. Also, we heard this demon is mentioned as Asya Kalasya. So, he is a very envious demon. So, Kalasya. So, there are 4 levels of envy that are mentioned in the Bhagavatam by Kapila Bhagavan also. So, like one of them is this Kala. So, there are Kala, Dvesha, Asuya, Matsara. So, Kala is the highest one, the one who is in this stage of kala. So they plan how to, and they plan and execute how to destroy the other living entities whom he has enviousness. And there is a dvesha. So even though the person has envious towards the others, he doesn't plan and execute it for their destruction, but he keeps in his mind, and due to that he only suffers. So, and then there is asuya. So where one who has this asuya, so as soon as he see that living entity whom he has asuya, so he will try to find fault. So fault finding. So that's what. And then there is a machara. So where he will hate or envious anyone and everyone, like that. So that's why this enviousness is very dangerous because this is the one of the cause that a conditioned living entity appeared in this material world. When we are all in the spiritual world, so one of the thing is that caused us to fall down from the spiritual world to here is this envious nature towards Supreme Lord Krishna. So that's why the scriptures and Acharya stress us to get rid of this envy sincerely by chanting this Hare Krishna Maha Mantra in the Kali Yuga. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So, Nastavraya Shabhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. So, in the next sloka, the next 2 slokas, we see that Krishna entered in the mouth of Aghasura, and then demigods, so they thought, they will be dangerous to Krishna, so they also exclaimed, alas, alas, like that. But the friends of Aghasura, they were jubilant, thinking that, now Krishna will be killed by this demon Aghasura. Not knowing that Krishna is very powerful and he will kill all the demons. So here, so when Krishna heard these demigods crying, alas, alas, then he immediately enlarged himself within the demon's throat to save himself and the cowherd boys, and also to kill the demon. And Prabhupada mentions in the purport that so Krishna here exhibiting this paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha duskrutanam, because that's one of the purpose Krishna appears in this material world to re-establish dharma. So how we re-establish dharma? By protecting the saintly personalities, devotees, and to annihilate the demons. So vinashaya cha duskrutanam dharma samsthapanardaya sambhavami yuge yuge. So in this case, to kill this demon Aghasura, so he enlarged himself in the demon's throat so that the demon can be killed. So we see how he was killed. The next sloka that so when Krishna increased his size, and demon also extended his own body to very large size, but still, so Krishna, he could not able to breathe because Krishna increased his size. So he suffocated and his eyes rolled here and there and then popped out, and the demon's life air. So it finally burst through a hole in the top of the demon's head. So this top of the hole of the head is called Brahmarandra. So it came out from there. So in the next sloka, so we see that when all the demon's life air is passed away through the hole in the top of his head, Brahmarandra, and then Krishna glanced over the dead calves and cowherd boys, because they all entered into the mouth of this Aghasura. So they all became unconsciousness. So here Krishna, just by glancing them, they brought them back to the life. So then Mukunda, who can give liberation, came out of from the demon's mouth with his friends and calves. So here Krishna is mentioned as Mukunda because he is the one who gives the liberation. So similarly, we will also hear how he gave the liberation to this demon Agasura. So who is very envious. Then what to speak of the devotees who take shelter at the lotus feet of Krishna. So in the next sloka, so we hear that this from the body of the gigantic Patan, a glaring effulgence came out. Prabhupada mentions in the purport that this demon Aghasura, so because he has received the association of Krishna, so he attained a mukti. So by entering into the Krishna's body. So you see that eliminating all direction and stayed individually in the sky until Krishna came out from the corpse mouth. Then all the demigods looking into that, this effulgence entered into Krishna's body. Prabhupada mentions that entering into the Krishna's body is known as Sayuja Mukti. So we have different types of Mukti, am I right? Sayuja Mukti, so which is entering into the Brahman effulgence or Krishna's effulgence. And then we have Sarupya Mukti, Salokya Mukti, Samipya Mukti, Sarishta Mukti, like that. But here Krishna entering into the body is known as Sayuja Mukti. So Agasura, but Agasura we hear in the next verses also that Agasura more than Sayuja Mukti, he entered a Sarupya Mukti. And Prabhupada also quotes Srila Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur saying that Agasura attained Sarupya Mukti. So he was promoted to the spiritual world, Vaikunta planets. And he also received the same form as the Supreme Lord Vishnu, like that. Because the effulgence came out and it stayed a while because of the association of the Supreme Lord Krishna. So he attained the Suddha Sattva. And Krishna also mentions, Prabhupada also mentions here that the reason the Agasura's effulgence came out and stayed individual in the sky for a little while to show that every individual person has their own effulgence. Of course, Supreme Lord has the supreme effulgence, but every individual will have their own identity, like that. Of course, Brahmana effulgence, Prabhupada says that we cannot see, but here the individual effulgence can be seen by the demigods here. So Krishna, just to prove that the individuals has their own identity. So here Agasura's individual effulgence stayed little bit in the sky, where all the demigods could able to see it, like that. And in the next sloka, we see that seeing that Agasura was killed by Supreme Lord Krishna, the demigods were very jubilant and they showered flowers from Nandana Kanan. And then we see that the celestial dancing girls, they started dancing, and then Gandharvas singing, and then the drummers, they began to beat their kettle drums, and Brahmanas offering Vedic hymns, like that. On the heaven and earth, there is a great festival, glorification of the Supreme Lord. And Prabhupada mentions in the purport, this is the what every living entity's duty. So what is everyone living entity's duty is to glorify the Supreme Lord, to serve the Supreme Lord, or to perform the activities that pleases the Supreme Lord. Samsiddhir Haritoshna. So as we see here that the dancing girls, they have the talent to dance, so they are using in the service of the Supreme Lord or to please Supreme Lord Krishna. Gandharvas has the ability to sing nicely, so they are utilizing their ability in that singing ability in the Krishna service. So like that, so whatever the talent that a living entity has it, if we can utilize it in the service of Krishna, that is the perfection. So whether we have a construction ability or a technical ability, or writing books or whatever it is, if we can use in the service of the Supreme Lord Krishna for the pleasure of Krishna, then that is a perfection. So otherwise it is mentioned as Sramayevahi Kevalam Dharmaswanustita Pumsham Visvaksena Kata Asuya Notpadedi Etiratam Shamayevahi Kevalam. So if not, then all our talents or all our time, energy, everything will be simply waste of time like that, or they are the simply decoration of a dead body like that. Then we hear in the next slokas that so Lord Brahma also heard this sounds of Jai Jai. Then he came, immediately came down to see what is going on, and he was completely astonished to see so much glorification going on for the Supreme Lord Krishna. And Prabhupada mentions that so this glorification is not only happening on the Swargaloka, but it also happened the higher planetary system like Mahaloka, Janaloka, Tapaloka, because they are very closer to the Lord Brahma's planet. So that's why Brahma heard this because this ceremony is going on near his planet. So the planets which are near is like Tapaloka, Janaloka, like that. So that's why he immediately came down to see that. And then in the next sloka, next two slokas, we see that Parikshit, this Agasura, the python-shaped body of Agasura dried up into merely big skin. It became wonderful place for the inhabitants, and it remained for a long time. And we see that here this incident happened um, when Krishna was 5 years old, but it was not disclosed to all the residents of Vrindavana, the elderly gopis, gopas, immediately. So it was disclosed after 1 year. So why it is disclosed after 1 year, not on that same day, that we will hear the next chapter. um, and Prabhupada also mentions that one of the word in this sloka called mokshana. So the associates of the Supreme Lord Krishna, like all the cowherd boys or whoever it is, calves, they are already liberated. So there is nothing special for them because they are coming from the spiritual world and they'll go back home by dead. So, but this moksha is given to the Agasura. So Agasura also received the eternal life. So he received the Sarupya Mukta like that. So in the next sloka, we see that Krishna is the cause of all causes, and when Krishna appeared as the son of Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda, he did so by his causeless mercy, and he exhibited unlimited potency. Now he showed great mercy even on Agashura, the most sinful incarnate. Then what to speak of for a people who surrender to the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord and worships him with all faith like that. So Prabhupada mentions that since Krishna did sport in the body of the Agasura by entering into his mouth, so Krishna enjoyed this pastime. So with his association, Agasura not only purified from all the contamination of these material things, but he also attained Sarupya Mukti. And this is not very wonderful because Krishna can do anything and everything like that. So in the next sloka, we see that if even only once or even by force one bring the form of the Supreme Lord into their mind, then one can attain the supreme salvation by the mercy of the Krishna. So Prabhupada mentions this is the process for receiving the favor of the Supreme Lord. So we have to think always the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord, who is the source of the transcendental bliss for all living entities. So if some or other, if we can try to mold all our activities in such a way that we can think about Supreme Lord Krishna, or we can chant this Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, or listen Krishna Katha. So centered all Krishna conscious activities, then our human life becomes successful. So even if we do little bit, swalpamapasya dharmasya trayato mahato bhayat, so it will save us from big danger and will come closer to Krishna. Then what to speak of the devotees who perform Satatam Kirtayanto. So who does this Krishna conscious activities all the time? For them, the mukti, the liberation stands at their door and waiting to serve them. Mukti Mukilita Anjala, like that. Then what to speak of any other things like Ardha or Kama, like that. So in the next sloka, we see that Sutta Goswami is here saying, so Sutta Goswami is narrating this Bhagavatam to the sages who assembled in the Naimisaranyam, headed by Saunaka Mahamuni. So here he is saying that the childhood pastimes of the Supreme Lord Krishna are very wonderful. So that's why the devotees, so Bodhayanti Parasparam, they discuss each other and then they release Tushyanti cha Ramanti cha, they derive great pleasure. So Maharaj Parikshit, after hearing this pastime, so then so he is again inquired from the Sukadeva Goswami about these wonderful pious activities. So in the next sloka, so Maharaj Parikshit inquired, this is the thing that he inquired. This has been done when Krishna is 5 years, but this was narrated to the elderly Gopas and Gopis after 1 year. So he was asking, so Maharaj Parikshit is curious to know how could things done in the past have been described as being done in the present. Because Krishna performed this pastime in Kaumara age, and then this was revealed to the elderly Gopis in the Pauganda age. So that, of course, Sukadeva Goswami will narrate in the next chapter. But Maharaj Parikshit is very curious to know why this has happened. And then he is asking to kindly describe, he is very curious, and he understands that this is another illusion due to Krishna. So this is another illusion. And then in the next two slokas, so Maharaj Parikshit himself is very humble. Maharaj Parikshit is saying that he is the lowest of Kshatriyas, Kshatra Bhandava. So he is saying that because Prabhupada mentions in the purport that so the reason he was mentioning, of course, he is very humble, and also why he is mentioning is as lowest of Kshatriyas means generally Kshatriya has this tendency, Ishvara Bhava. In Bhagavad Gita also we hear him, right? Dhanam Ishvara Bhavascha Kshatram Karma Subhavajam. So Kshatriyas has this Ishvara Bhava. Of course, there are other qualities also, Dhanam like that. So Ishvara Bhava, so they will rule all the citizens, but not on the Brahmanas, because they take the guidance of Brahmanas. They take they are very submissive to the Brahmanas. But here Maharaj Parikshit is regretting himself that he wanted to rule over the Brahmanas. Like when he entered into the forest and then entered into the hut of the Samika Mohamani. So because he did not responded back to Parikshit Maharaj, he was very unhappy, and then he put the dead snake on the neck of the Samik Mahamuni. So here he was regretting that he wanted to rule over the Brahmanas, because of that he was cursed, and that's why he was mentioning himself as the lowest of Kshatriyas, Kshatra Bandhava. Of course, we know that Maharaj Parikshit is a great personality, he is a great devotee, he is a perfect Kshatriya, but he himself is presenting himself as the very lowest of Kshatriyas, being very humble. And one should be like that. A practicing devotee should acquire this quality of the humbleness. And then in the last sloka, we see that Suta Goswami is saying that to the sages headed by Saunaka Mahamuni, saying that Maharaj Parikshit inquired, and Sukadeva Goswami, immediately remembering the subject matters of Krishna, so externally lost contact with the sense of with the actions of his senses. The pure devotees, when they hear about Krishna and then they are inspired to speak Krishna Katha, so they are very happy to serve like that. So here also Sukadeva Goswami, being a pure devotee, external lost contact with the actions of his senses, but with great difficulty he revived, and then he started speaking Maharaj Parikshit about Krishna Katha, like why this pastime is narrated to the elderly gopis and gopas after 1 year, which has after happened 1 year after this incident happened. So we'll read that next section. Thank you all for giving this opportunity. I'll pause it here. Grandhara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna Prabhuji. Prabhuji, what is the meaning of Kalaya?
Kala, that is one level of the
Talent?
envious nature. Envious nature, Mataji. That's the envy has 4 levels. So one is Kala, and there are other like Dvesha, Asuya, Machara, like that. This Kala is mentioned as one of the highest level of envious nature. One who has this kind of envious nature, they will plan and execute to destroy the other living entity who has
I get you.
where he has
Calm
envious.
down.
I think somebody speak. I don't know. Does that help, Mataji?
Hare
Yes,
Krishna,
Prabhuji.
Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.